users can take advantage of these freedoms indirectly. Suppose you use a certain free program in your business, and you make money by using it, but it isn't perfect, and you realize that your business would work better if the program were changed. Well, it might be worth it for you to pay a programmer to write the changes you want, if the price is right. So you can go talk to various programmers and see who knows that program, who's willing to make the change, how much they would charge. And then, if you make a deal with one, you would then exercise your freedom number 2 to make an exact copy of the version you use and give it to her. And then she would study and check the source code of that version and then change it, implementing the features you asked for, exercising her freedom number 1. And then she would distribute a copy of that modified version to you, exercising her freedom number 3. So you don't exercise freedoms 1 and 3 because you don't know how, but she exercises them on your behalf because you're going to pay her. So you get the benefit of the fact that users have these freedoms. And then, of course, once she is giving you a copy of the modified version, if it works and you accept it, then you pay. A substantial part of free software business works in this way. And one of the advantages of free software is that this business, the business of support for free software, is a free market. By contrast, support for proprietary software is generally a monopoly because only the developer has the source code, so only the developer can make any change. Users that want to change have to beg or pray to the developer. Oh, almighty developer, please make this change for me. There are developers that ask the user to pay. Say, pay us and we'll listen to your problem. And if the user pays, the developer says, thank you. In 6 months there will be an upgrade. Buy it and you'll see if we fixed your problem. And you'll see what new problems we have in store for you. But with free software, since anybody that has a copy is free to study the code and master it and begin offering support, it's a free market. And therefore, all those organizations that say they really need good support and that say they believe the free market tends to provide better goods and services, rationally speaking, ought to insist that all the software they use be free. So all the users get the benefit of the 4 freedoms, and freedom 3 is also essential. And what the 4 freedoms together give us is democracy. Because a free program develops democratically under the control of its users. Everybody is free to participate in society's decision about the future of the program, which is simply the sum total of all the decisions the various users make about what to do with the program. By contrast, a proprietary program develops under the autocracy of its developer and functions as an instrument to impose that developer's power on the users. So on one hand we have individual freedom, social solidarity, and democracy. On the other hand we have the dictatorship of the developer who can bully, mistreat, and exploit the users. Society should choose free software and reject proprietary software. The aim of the free software movement is the liberation of cyberspace and all of its inhabitants. In In the early 1980s, I had seen free software disappear. I saw myself facing the prospect of living the rest of my life using and developing proprietary software. An ugly prospect. I wanted to be able to live in freedom, and I wanted to make it possible for others to live in freedom. But how could that be? It was impossible in 1983 to get a modern computer and use it in freedom, because the computer wouldn't work without an operating system, and all the operating systems for modern computers were proprietary. So after you bought a computer, the next thing you had to do was sign a non-disclosure agreement and license for a non-free operating system, and there goes your freedom. Since I was one man without political skill or experience, and with only a handful of people that supported the idea, I didn't think starting an ordinary type of political movement would be very effective. But I realized there was another way I could correct this social problem. Because the problem existed because all the operating systems were proprietary. Well, I was an operating system developer. All I would have to do is write another operating system, and then I, being the author, could make it free legally, and then everybody would be free to get this system and run it, and then they would have freedom. So that meant that I was aware of an important social problem that affected a small segment of society that was growing very rapidly, and a problem that most people didn't recognize as a problem. I had the skills necessary to try to correct this problem, and it looked like nobody was going to do it if not me. That meant I had been elected by circumstances to do this work. It was my duty as a citizen. It's as if you see someone drowning, and you know how to swim, and there's no one else around, and it's not Bush or any other of his evil cronies, then you have a moral duty to save that person. Of course, that doesn't affect me since I don't know how to swim. But in this case, the job that needed doing was not swimming, it was developing a lot of software, and that I knew how to do. So I decided I would develop a free software operating system or die trying. Of old age, presumably. Because at the time, the free software movement had no active opposition. Lots of people disagreed with the idea, but they just laughed for a moment and paid no more attention. So the obstacle was not opposition. The obstacle was a pile of programs that we had to develop to have a complete free software operating system. And there was no way of knowing at the outset if we would ever complete this task. But the only way to complete it was to start. There was no chance if we didn't start. So I decided to develop a free software operating system. I decided to recruit other people to join in and help to get it done sooner. I decided to follow the design of Unix to make it a portable system, one that would be able to run on various kinds of computers, whatever computers would be like sometime in the future when it would be finished. And I decided to make it upward compatible with Unix so that the many Unix users would find it easy to switch. And as it happened, that made almost all the initial design decisions. So I was able to, so the only thing I needed actually to announce the project was a name. Now, in the 1970s, I was part of a free software community we